Hi everyone!
Hey!
And welcome to our baby food making workshop.
I'm Amanda Susie, as you guys may already know.
And I'm Nisreen. And you probably haven't met me yet, but I'm the new pre and postnatal worker. And I'm really excited today to present our first ever baby food making workshop. And Amanda Susie is here to help me get this started because it's my first time.
Yay!
Party in the kitchen. So before we start, Amanda, Susie, and I are going to wash our hands.
20 seconds, my friends. 20 seconds.
And you definitely want to do that before and after cooking, and also your baby's hands before meal times, because they're going to be doing a lot of exploring.
Absolutely. And make sure that you also clean up your surface areas before you set out your utensils and items that you're using.
Yes.
Alrighty. My turn.
All right. So now that we're all clean, Amanda Susie is going to introduce the recipe for today. We're going to be making carrot ginger puree, and you'll see that the recipe card is in the kit that you received as well, so you can follow along with this.
Yes. So, as you see here, we have carrots.
Cumin.
Sorry, guys. Don't laugh at me. All right. And some ginger. You just need a little bit of ginger. You're also able to use any kind of carrots that you have at the moment. I know some people don't want to use certain carrots. That's fine. Whatever that you have, use it. So first, we are going to boil the carrots. Boil water first, then carrots after.
Yeah, this usually takes like 5 to 10 minutes, and you can fill it up just so that the carrots are, the water covers the carrots. So Amanda Susie's going to do that for us. Stick it on the oven.
I'll put it on max because I'll be monitoring it. Please don't add no salt, no pepper, no other seasonings. I know we all like to do that, but these are for our babies, so we're not doing that today.
Yeah. But with that being said, cumin is safe, and I'll talk about that a little bit as we go on. This first recipe is for stage 1. So these are for babies usually starting from 6 to 9 months. But that doesn't mean that you can't start as early as 4 months or as late as 10. It really depends on your baby because everyone's different. But what we can look for are some signs that tell you when baby is ready to control their height. Your baby can sit up by themselves. They're able to control their head. They can hold their head up. They show an interest in food. They can pick up food and put it in their mouths. And they can also keep food in their mouths and swallow it. So if you see these signs, we know that baby's ready regardless of their age. But usually it's about 6 to 9 months, but as I said earlier and later is okay as well. And we always want to start off with iron-rich foods. So when babies first start eating solids, you can introduce things like rice cereal or multigrain oat and wheat. And then you can mix it with water, but even better is breast milk or formula. And iron is really, really, really important for babies. It helps them grow and develop. So we always want to choose iron-rich foods when we start off. And then after baby is good with eating this, you know that they're enjoying it, they're able to swallow it. We can move on to other foods like meat and meat alternatives. So we can do pureed chicken, we can do pureed turkey, wild meat, beef, all that good stuff. Or meat alternatives, so things like kidney beans, soy, tofu, chickpeas, eggs. Those are all really, really good to give to your baby, again, because of that iron that you need for babies. And this is all to say that although we start giving baby solid foods, we should also continue with breast milk or formula. That doesn't stop. I kind of like to think of these foods as like side dishes. I think that makes sense, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
And just to help you out in your kits, we also have this guide. It's called the Solid Food Summary and Food Texture Guide. So this is something that's really helpful to follow as your baby grows, and it gives you ideas of the different textures that you can introduce to your baby and when they'll be ready. So generally the idea is that when your baby's younger, we want to do pureed foods. So it's much more liquidy, and then as your baby grows, we can introduce more texture, and it can be more minced as opposed to like liquidy puree. And just as we start talking about introducing foods for the first time, as you can imagine, it's a really funny experience for babies because it's so new for them. So things to expect could be like funny faces. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, Jada, with your baby, but...
Of course, because she's a very picky eater till this day.
So yeah, we'll see funny faces. It'll take like a lot of tries, right?
Yeah, it could be about 20 tries until they finally put it in their mouth. So just keep on trying, don't give up.
Yeah, and it's not your fault. It's just how it is. We have to keep trying and trying and trying until they take it, and they enjoy it. We're gonna expect a mess, and I think the other thing is that we're gonna see a change in their poopy diapers. So because they're eating food, the texture and the color of their poo is gonna be a little different. So we just have to be ready for that.
Don't be alarmed.
All right.
And also, my friends, don't forget the foods that were shown just now are optional. So don't feel like you must buy them or use them. And yeah.
Yeah. But they are all affordable. We try to
Absolutely.
choose things that are easy for you guys to use. And generally, making baby food is usually cheaper than buying the jar stuff. And it's also healthier. So this is a really great way to introduce food.
All right.
So yeah, I think the water is boiled. So the next step is on your recipe card to put the carrots into the boiling water.
All right.
And if you're using other vegetables, you want to make sure the stems are cut off, they're peeled, and they're pitted. But because we're using baby carrots, that was really easy for us this time around. Okay, so while the carrots are boiling, which usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes, I also wanted to talk a little bit about how much to feed your baby. So the golden rule really is there is none, and we should let our babies decide. But what we can do is look for signs. So when you see that your baby's hungry, you might see that they're excited, they might be reaching for the food, they might have their mouths hungry, ready for that spoon, and then when they're full, you'll see the opposite. So they might close their mouths, they might start crying, they might turn their face away, they might spit out the food. So when you see those signs, obviously, you don't have to give them any more food. Do you have anything else to add about that?
Let them enjoy the food, feeling it, exploring it before they eat it, because some kids are very picky and they just like to just touch it. So the texture is really good for them to start off with. And eventually it will end up leading from all that mess going right into their mouth. So let them have fun. It's a teachable moment and a teachable moment for yourself as well. So
yeah, definitely have fun with it.
Absolutely.
Sure. And then some other thing that we wanted to talk about was that sometimes moms can be worried about allergies, and that's totally understandable. I would be. I know Amanda Susie was worried at one point too when she was first introducing food to her baby. So we do have to be worried and more cautious about like if there's a family history of allergies. But for the most part, try not to delay the foods that you introduce to your baby because you don't want to delay knowing whether they have an allergy or not. But what we do want to do is look for those signs. So, if you feed something to your baby and you see things like rashes, vomiting, diarrhea, swelling around the mouth, we definitely need to be cautious about that. And if your baby stops breathing as a result of any food, we want to call 911 immediately. But that's not to scare you all. We just want to make sure that you're comfortable giving foods to your baby, because it's a bit difficult when you're introducing things for the first time. And a really good tip that we wanted to share is that when you're introducing a new food, try to introduce it 3 to 5 days after you introduce something else you've given them, so then you can actually figure out whether they're allergic to the food that you gave before or the new one. So that helps us track what's good for your baby and what's not. And then things to absolutely avoid. So definitely before 1 year, we want to avoid honey because we know that can cause food poisoning to a lot of young kids. And then try to avoid giving your baby fish with high mercury. So that's things like tuna and swordfish. And then fish with low mercury, which are really good to give for the iron, is like salmon, cod, halibut, those kinds of things. Okay, so we definitely want to avoid the high mercury fish. And then in terms of things that your baby could possibly choke on, we want to avoid that too. So we want to avoid like candies, whole grapes, harder raw vegetables, because that can get stuck in their throat. So we want to avoid that before 4 years of age. And then the last thing we want to avoid is sugar. Definitely want to, keep that at a minimum. It's just not something that's healthy for babies, so we shouldn't give it to them. That's pretty much it.
I'm gonna check the carrots now as it's they're getting soft.
So when the carrots are ready, when you prick them with a fork and they're soft and the fork goes in them, and I think that has happened.
And my friends can probably see, or maybe not. Already. So I'm gonna take it off the stove now.
And then something that might be helpful is to use a ladle so we can scoop out the carrots.
Oh, you want to scoop them up? Okay.
Can I scoop them?
Yeah. Also, we like to save the carrot water, or juice if you want to call it that. So when we are going to start to do our blending of the carrots, it will just make it more smoother.
And if you don't want to use the reserve water, you can use breast milk or formula, which is even better than water, but obviously Amanda and Susie and I don't have breast milk or milk ready.
No.
So we're using the water that also has carrot nutrients, but definitely try to use the milk and the breast milk in the puree if you have that. All right. I got the carrots out of the pot.
Perfect.
And then I'm going to scoop some of the water, the reserve water for the puree. And I have some ready, so I just stored in this little cup over here. All right. So the next thing is that we should let the carrots cool completely before you put it into the baby blender. That's a really important step. So we do have some carrots already cooled for us. Before we move on to the actual pureeing, I just wanted to talk about something that's really, really important, and that is using meal times as a time to bond with your baby. It's a really special moment. I know Amanda Susie has experience with that too, and I'll let her talk about that a little bit more. Or not, or I'll talk about it. But it's a really special time with your baby. Sorry, I put her on the spot. So it's really important to give your baby understanding, patience, empathy during meal times, because it'll just make the whole process a lot easier. And it's really important for your attachment to baby, and we know that attachment is so important as your child develops, so we definitely want to encourage that. If you can sit your baby upright, so like either in a high chair or whatever you use at home, you want to do that during feeding, and then give baby lots of smiles and eye contact so we can make it like as happy and pleasant for your baby. And the other thing that Amanda Susie talked about was letting your baby make a mess and exploring the food. It's really an opportunity to learn, and it'll help the meal times just be that much easier. So it's okay that they make a mess. We just have a little bit of cleaning up to do afterwards. Something else that we can do is just try to create a routine out of mealtime. So try to talk to your baby, you can sing, whatever tradition works. And always be patient and encouraging. But then don't pressure baby to eat if they don't want to. Sometimes we don't want to eat. But the only time that it's a problem is if you see it like as a pattern, and then we should definitely call a doctor if that's the case, okay? And something else that's really important to say, just because we're always on our phones these days, is to avoid screen times during meal time. So try to take away like the TV, phone, computer, any of that stuff, because it can be really distracting for you and for your baby. And we really want to use that time to connect, and sometimes when you use phones, it kind of takes away from that moment. So it's definitely better to not have those around. And the last thing that we sometimes forget is that babies are just little people, so we should involve them in our family meal times because they learn watching other people eat. So it's a really good time for everyone to eat together, because it'll just make the process that much easier. Time for everyone. Yeah, so I think the carrots are cooled. So let Amanda Susie do the next thing, which is put the carrots into the amazing baby bullets that you guys have.
Alrighty. So, as you guys see here,
You just have to lift the plastic top.
already. So I'll just do a little bit at a time just to show you guys what to do. Should that be good for not to show? Or you want a
Probably,
little bit more?
yeah, probably more.
Okay.
It's always okay to do more because the kit came with these amazing little storage containers. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but it's definitely okay to make more.
All right.
All right. And then I have this little piece of ginger. So we only need half a teaspoon of ginger. We don't want to put too much because it can be a little too flavorful for a baby. But it has lots of nutrients, so we're just going to add a little teensy bit. So I'm just going to mince it into tiny pieces.
And also, my friends, this is also optional. You don't have to add the ginger, and you don't have to add this as well.
Mm-hmm. Just the vegetables is fine, but we're trying to be a little bit more fancy for you guys. So just to show you, this little piece of ginger is, it's just about half a teaspoon. Okay, so we're going to put that into the blender. And just for flavor, we're going to add a little bit of cumin. So we definitely want to avoid things like salt and sugar. But some of these natural seasonings can be really good for babies. There's lots of nutrients like iron. Cumin especially is antibacterial, which is really important during COVID, obviously. And it's good for digestion. So we're just going to do a teeny little bit. Oh, thanks, Amanda Susie. I got the best partner. Thank you. Yep. So just half a teaspoon. And we're going to put that in the blender as well. All right. I'm going to blend it.
All right.
All right, before blending, we have to add that liquid. So we're putting in the reserved water from the pot where we boil, but it's much better to put in the breast milk or formula that you have.
And if you feel like while you're blending, you can continue adding more if you feel like there's more water that needs to be added.
Yeah, you know the best consistency.
Perfect. All right.
How's that texture looking?
Nice and juicy. I'm gonna add a little bit more water. Still coffee.
And with this baby bullet, you can either like pulse it or you can just turn it so that it just continuously blends. So it's up to you how you prefer to blend that, okay? So Amanda Susie's made a beautiful puree. I don't know if you can really see, but it's a really nice liquidy texture as you're just starting off to feed baby. So I have a little spatula here. You can see it's liquidy and runny, but it's still solid. And then it has that really yummy cumin and ginger flavor. All right. So the next thing we wanted to talk to you about was storing the baby food, which is really, really important. You know, you might have leftovers, especially because your baby's not going to be eating that much. But the baby bullet comes with some awesome storage containers. So these ones can be used for refrigeration. So I'm just gonna pull up some in here with a spatula. So this is any leftover the baby hasn't eaten for lunch or dinner. Let's scoop that in there.
And also, please remember, my friends, once you open it and you use it, you should not store it back up. You should get rid of it.
So you're just gonna seal the top. The best thing about these little guys is that you can use this white dial and you can move it so that you can remember the date that you put in the fridge. We only want to store this for 1 to 2 days maximum. After that, you gotta toss it out, okay? So just 1 to 2 days in the fridge, and then we still have some leftover. So the other thing you can do better than are these like ice cube tray kind of things. So what we can do is fill the little tray. Oh, better than I'm doing. I think I just got Susie with carrot.
No worries.
It smells good though, right?
It does.
Kind of want to eat some.
And it's good to also taste the food with your child.
Yes.
So they could see your face reaction, and then, that's also a teachable moment as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So there you have it. I filled the tray. So then we can pop this into the freezer. This can go in the freezer for about a month. So you have a whole month before you use this. So if you're really busy, and you don't have time to make some food, you can just pop this out, thaw it, and then you can give it to your baby even a month later. So this is really helpful too. And another tip is to maybe even write down when you put it in the freezer so you don't forget when you put it in. But yeah, that's about it. It's super, super easy. Go to Food Share or Toronto Public Health if you have more questions about anything about baby food and mealtime.
Please do.
Yeah, we love hearing from you. And if you have any feedback for us, please let us know. It was our first time. We tried our best. We want to make this really, really good for you. We want you to keep coming back. So let us know how we can make it better for next time.
And if there's any food that you want us to do.
Yeah, if you
any
have
suggestions.
any ideas. Yeah, totally. That's a really good point. Just let us know. We'll be really happy to hear from you. Okay?
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Guys.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.